There are only two things you can steal from the military and get away with it. Number one, their fierce fitness training regime. Number two, their hardcore language learning methods. How about we leave the workout for Monday morning and check out those language lessons instead? We're going to see what happens inside a DLI classroom. You coming? DLI is Defense Language Institute. That's where the US military teaches their students foreign languages. They currently teach 14 languages, but this fluctuates depending on what language needs arise in the world. For example, at the moment, there's less focus on the Afghan language than there used to be, and more focus on Mandarin and Russian. They've also introduced a new bachelor's degree as of March 2022. That's either a BA in foreign language or a BA in Russian. There are 3 semesters, and each semester has a main theme. For example, the theme of one semester will be history, and this is really going to help you because knowing that the topic is history makes it easier when the going gets tough, and it will get tough. DLI calls them warrior linguists, but I will let you decide and tell me what you think at the end.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Владимир. Я говорю по-русски язык хорошо.
Доброе утро, меня зовут Emily Lilly. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, io parlo italiano. I speak multiple languages.
Students spend about 7 hours a day in class, 5 days a week, just learning their target language. It is a linguist's dream. And they also get 2 to 3 hours of homework each night. The instructors rotate, meaning various instructors will teach them from day to day, which I think is quite nice. Classes start at 8 a.m. and they knock off about 3:30 p.m. Each lesson lasts for 1 hour with 10-minute breaks between them. And during each of these 1-hour blocks, they will learn a different skill. Now, the order of things depends on the class, and each day of the week is slightly different, but here is what a typical day might look like. From 8 to 9 a.m. is a vocabulary quiz and homework check. That's for the 20 to 80 new words you have to learn each night.
어제 6시간 동안 고쳤어야 했어요. 밤늦게 집에 도착하지 않았어요.
From 9 to 10 a.m. is cultural studies, followed by a grammar session, after which you break for lunch. From 12 to 1 p.m. you'll do listening exercises, followed by an hour of reading exercises, and finally the last hour of the day is for speaking practice. If you're struggling with something, there's an extra hour of help available at the end of the day, in which case you'll finish at 4.
You're in the military for language school, like you eat, breathe, sleep, do everything language school.
We're going to see what happens in the lessons, but the first few days are all about the basics.
You should always be trying to learn one more word or study one more thing and push yourself. Because if you do, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish.
Language lessons are enabled and enhanced by cutting-edge technology, with computer-aided instruction and interactive whiteboards installed in every classroom. Sparking the interest of today's computer-savvy students, the Institute employs tablet PCs and digital audio devices to move foreign language instruction beyond the schoolhouse walls.
So it's day 1, you have your new Mac and you're settled at your desk. What happens next? First thing is you're going to realize that your instructor, who is a native speaker of the language you're learning, speaks only in that language. No English.
점심 포함되는 아주 좋은 패키지입니다.
Once the morning gets going, they might break this rule just to be sure you understand the concept, but make no mistake, English is about to be locked out of the classroom. If the language you're learning has a different script or alphabet, you will first learn that script and practice some handwriting. If you take Arabic, for example, there'll be an initial 3-week course to learn the Arabic alphabet and sounds before you even get to any vocabulary. It's called Sound and Script, and it's a daily session before classes. And you can cry if you want about getting up so early, but you're going to appreciate it once the grammar starts coming. On day 2, it's time to learn your first words and grammar. You'll get an explanation on the rules and the patterns of the language, but after that, grammar will be integrated naturally into the activities. And here's something you'll love, an activity you'll love. The activity is called clicking these 3 buttons, because it really shows support for the video and helps us out a lot. And subscribe to the channel if you want more like this.
Our class had a vocabulary quiz every day, a unit test every 3 weeks, there's 18 units in total, and semester projects to keep track of our progress. And it's all for the sake of passing the DLPT, the Defense Language Proficiency Test, at the end of the course.
DLI is very good at keeping it all in context. Every day you get a new written paragraph of dialogue and you're going to use this to study from. So anything new that you learn on that day will be based on this paragraph, whether it's new vocabulary or new verb endings. This text is your language model for the day.
One problem that I see people make, and a problem that I made when I was still learning and listening, is when you hear a word that you don't understand, a lot of people tend to focus on that word and then they forget about the rest of the sentence. They sort of let the rest of the sentence go by. And so I would encourage all students to, if you hear a word that you don't understand, sort of remember what it was, but then listen to the rest of the sentence. Don't get caught up on that one word because you miss everything else. Listen to the rest of the sentence, and then you can hear that word in context. You can hear where it fits into the rest of the sentence.
One of the best techniques they use, in my opinion, is to make you learn whole sentences, whole phrases, if you like, rather than individual words. I'm a big proponent of this. For example, a typical exercise at this stage is, here is your root word, here is a sentence, figure out what form of this word is correct for the sentence. And part of this is a big emphasis on listening and speaking. You always have to use new words in context, and there's going to be tons of structured repetition. This means the same words will keep coming up until you know them off by heart and you know how to use them. It's a very effective approach of learning all this constant repetition.
At DLI, the goal is not for necessarily knowledge of every single vocabulary word, it's for proficiency.
As you go along, new grammar will come up in the lessons and new vocabulary will be introduced alongside it. It gets harder and harder, and all the time you're weaving the words and the grammar into your 4 main skills, which of course are, altogether now, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Suddenly you'll find that you're ready for conjugations, declensions, and all these other crazy grammar things that you love so much. What's that? You don't? Well, I think you've been going about this all wrong then. See if you can find any parallels between DLI and the story learning method, which is what we teach over here. I want to hear in the comments, if you're not sure how my story learning method works, you should check out the very popular story learning kit, which I'll link to at the end of the video. It is full of fun goodies that give you a tour of this method and how it works. It's completely free. Look for a link in the description.
They're learning about culture, they're learning area studies, but we would like to provide them more of an experience of being able to be immersed in a variety of settings in that culture and area, so that they can use those reference points when they're doing their translations down the road, which will provide more accurate translation.
I bet your high school teacher never used virtual reality tech like this, but high school wasn't preparing you to save lives after all, was it? At DLI, there's a heavy push to get students proficient. So whatever the language is, they're going to use authentic materials. You'll get visuals on real places you might operate in, listen to authentic audio, read authentic texts, newspapers, magazines, video clips, and then gradually move towards creative use of the language in real life scenarios. As you progress, you'll get more complex comprehension work, looking for meaning in text, understanding specialist military words, understanding the culture, reading between the lines and making deductions. You're going to feel like a real detective. But as hard as it sounds, the instructors do try to make it fun. I have it on good authority. They can use anything from flashcards to drills, games, quizzes, interactive tools to reinforce new words. Whatever works.
Не сейчас себе, да, ты реально настоящий. В смысле, wow.
Speaking is always the part that brings mixed emotions. Part scary, part fun, right? But you're not alone, and everyone is in the same boat. Hopefully, one that's floating, not sinking. They do everything they can to help you understand the context that the language is used in, so you get a ton of speaking practice in class. It's role play and debates, group discussions, and so on. In a role play activity, you and your mates act out a scene. There's no time for shyness at DLI. You have to build self-confidence to cope with talking about military stuff, politics, whatever's happening on the news. And it's a very integrated approach with lessons on culture and customs, religion, geography, history, politics, economics, society. In the Mandarin Chinese class, for example, students discuss things like the rich history of the East, all in Chinese, of course. Or they'll give you a problem that you have to solve together, like working out your transportation plan. You'll even get to practice with native speakers. I mean, this is the military after all. It's not enough to just recognize the words that someone is saying. You need to understand their intent, their motive. Now, how about the writing part? Well, all I can say is you better not be scared of writing because your instructor's gonna give you plenty of essays and reports to write. That's right, even if you're learning Mandarin or Russian, it's gonna be crucial to learn how to write with these scripts. And in the end, if you dare to call yourself a master, you better be able to translate from the new language into English, of course. Ever tried that before? You really should. Now, I said they make it fun, and let's see. So what is going on? Some languages like Korean, Russian, and Mandarin have writing and speech contests that you work towards. You'll be given a theme, say university life, and then you'll have an hour to write an essay or a speech. There's no Korean dictionary, there's no Google Translate, there's certainly no ChatGPT, just a pen and paper and that year of learning a language. Now, what do you think of that? And as you just saw, nobody ever said You can't dance.
The Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center at Presidio of Monterey staffs a soldier with a unique job. Private First Class Lingo garners a lot of attention from visitors as the school's four-legged mascot.
He's the best $130 of Army money I have ever seen spent.
PFC Lingo was adopted from a local animal shelter to help increase morale and decrease the stress of students, faculty, and staff.
You're going to have to learn PFC Lingo's dialect on your own time, I'm afraid. Now, here's the best part about this video. Everything you just heard was the tame version because I left out the grueling PT, the rituals, and the crazy dress-up sessions. So if you want to hear about everything that a military linguist in training experiences, you better make sure you watch the next video.